About 3 years ago, I took a gamble and I backed a project from a company that at the time I'd never heard of called Benro. They created this smart tripod head. They marketed it for all kinds of purposes like astrophotography, but also that you could basically program it to just sit and do things overnight. It could do a lot. So 3 years down the line, what do I think of it? Am I happy for my investment, or was it a bit of a Kickstarter scam? First, I just want to give you a very quick rundown of what the Benro Polaris actually is. So it's this tripod head here. So it's not the camera, it's not the tripod. It's this gray blob in here in the middle. You can see it's connected to my camera. When I say it's a smart tripod head, it means you can control it from your phone, which you're going to do here in a second. It comes in 4 variants. You can either get it as a Wi-Fi or a cellular version. The Wi-Fi version, you obviously connect over Wi-Fi, and the cellular, well, you put a SIM card in it, it connects over cellular. This one I have here is the Wi-Fi. I don't know how popular the cellular is. I can see situations where it's nice to have, but I don't really know of a situation where I would put thousands of dollars of camera equipment somewhere outside and then have to connect with it over cellular. But just know that you have the option, and I think you get either or. Like either you're on cellular or you're on Wi-Fi, you can't have both. Then it also comes in the standard version, which is the configuration that we see here, and it comes in a Astro version, which we're gonna convert it into in a minute. The only other difference between this variant I have here and the one you would buy is that it has a little text here on the front that says founder member. So that should pretty much be it. Let me just give you a quick rundown of how this thing works. I have my phone out here, and you can see here I opened up the Polaris app, and I can now just go ahead and click on it, and it will now connect to the tripod head. And that's a very overexposed image. But now I basically have full control of my camera and the tripod head. You can see, let's just adjust these exposure values a bit. I control the f-stop here if I want to do that. I can also control the exposure time. Let's pull that down a little bit. And as you can see here, of course, I have a live feed. It's not the highest frame rate, but I have a live feed. But I also have small joysticks here that allows me to control the camera. That's just the basic photo mode. I'm not going to go into too much detail, as this is the Astro stuff we're interested in here. You have HDR mode, where you basically set parameters for the normal exposure, the underexposure, and the overexposure. And it then takes those 3 pictures for you, which you can then do a blend of later if you want to. Obviously, it has video mode if you want to take videos. You have panoramics, where you have these controls down here, where you say, oh, I want a 20-degree rotation between shots, and I want 3 shots horizontally. And then I want a, I don't know, like 15 degrees rotation between shots here. And I want 4 shots here. And you can see here that it says this is a total of 16 shots, 4 in one row, 4 rows, 4 columns. And it will just basically say, okay, right now I want to be centered. If I were to press the take pictures now, it will then begin to do that sequence and take those 16 pictures if I wanted to do so. Time-lapse, again, you get very similar things. You can set what are the wait times between frames, how many frames do you want to take, and what should the frame rate of the final video be. So for the Astro mode, we're going to get this additional adapter. This adapter is just giving us an extra axis of rotation, basically. So this one just slots in like so, where you would normally put the camera. And then to power it, there is an included little cable that goes into the extra port like so. And now we can go ahead and we can take our camera. The first thing it wants us to do is it wants us to basically give it a rough heading. It's now using my GPS in my phone, which is terribly inaccurate, but we're going to do a better alignment of it later. We're just going to put it up basically next to it, and you just click calibrate. This is just as we did with the other one. And now you can see we have an overlaid star field basically, but we're not quite aligned yet. What we would need to do is we would need to go and basically find an object that we would use for our alignment. And I got everything flipped up in my head. Okay, now it thinks it's pointing at approximately where Polaris is. You can see here we get this little crosshair. We can zoom in here. The goal now is to put Polaris in the middle of that little crosshair. We have our joysticks on the side where we control that. Let's just say we are good, and we can now click continue. So now it would be good enough aligned. I would say you can probably go up to 300 millimeters on this and still get decent results. If you go much more than that, I'm not sure the tracking is necessarily good enough that you're gonna get good results. So you can of course do some deep sky objects, just choose the bigger ones. If you want to do like Andromeda and stuff like that, it's probably gonna be fine. But what I use this for is for nightscape. So these extremely wide field Milky Way shots, which it does beautifully. Now that we are aligned, we're just going to click confirm. We can now basically just go in, we can pick our targets in here, and it will slew to that target, and it will go and track that object. At least if I click start tracking down here and in the corner, there we go. It's now said start tracking. It will obviously Polaris head barely moves, but it will track that object, and it does it actually quite well, especially on these wider lenses. We can then go and begin to do our plans. Basically, again, we have the same controls that we had before, where we control shutter speeds for the individual pictures, f-stops, ISO settings, all those good things. Down here, we have additional settings now in the Astro mode, where we can choose how many shots we want to take. And we can also set a time interval, again, in between the shots. So a bit like we did with the time-lapse. It's kind of the same settings. But here we just say, take this many photos, have this many seconds in between each shot. I recommend often that you have like 2 seconds between shots, because I found that if it sends the command to start the next picture immediately after, the camera might not be ready. The camera might actually be busy at that time processing, storing the previous image. So I often found that like 2, sometimes 3 seconds, but often we'll just go with like 2 seconds between shots to give the camera time to store the previous picture before it begins taking the next one. So take that as a recommendation. And then it just does its thing. You can then disconnect from it. You don't need to be connected while it's doing its thing. And then you can go away and do other things and sit and enjoy the nights. Now, there is a number of things that I probably want to address with this. The first one is stability. This thing is heavy. And when you begin to put cameras on it, you can see everything like leaning out over the edge, and you saw multiple times during the video that I will like grab the tripod. I have had this tip over on me. And this is why that I actually use, just take this up here, I use a tripod where the legs can go vertically or horizontally here. Now for the purpose of the video, I have it up here so that you guys can see what's going on. But I have had this tip over on me when I put everything up, everything was fine, and I begin slewing around these heavy cameras and heavy lenses, the whole thing just tipped over. So that's the thing. When you do it, really get a solid tripod, and if you want to have a light tripod, make sure you get one that can have a really, really large footprint so this doesn't tip over on you. In terms of weight, it can handle up to 7 kilograms of load. I've never put that much on it. I think this setup here is like, I haven't actually weighed, but I think it's like 2 or 3 kilograms of weight. So it can definitely handle that, and this is the heaviest configuration I'm running on it. This lens is extremely heavy. Battery life wise is excellent. I have had this now for 3 years. I use this for my nightscapes, and I can go multiple nights between charges. I never run it out completely, but it takes you can probably get 3-4 nights out of it between charges. In terms of accuracy, they list the pointing accuracy of this to be around 9 arc seconds of accuracy, which is pretty good, and it should allow you to go with some deep sky objects if you want to. Again, I'm not sure I would go much more than 300 millimeters, something like that. I think I've seen people say they've gone up to 400, but that's probably as far as I would go with it. Again, it all depends on how long exposure times you take, of course. If you're gonna do multiple minutes, then you might not be able to go all the way to 400, but if you don't want to do 30 seconds, then 400 might be fine. It really depends on your settings. I actually just want to show you a series of images. These are the raw images that I took a night I was out shooting some Milky Way pictures. And I'm just going to put them up as a little sequence here. You can see how it tracks the Milky Way and how the foreground is obviously moving as I'm taking these shots. Just to show how well it can actually track stuff when you do these extremely wide field things. It does that really, really well. Now, the only complaint I have with it is, again, that weight. You can see I'm still holding this because I'm so nervous it's going to tip over because I have it up so high. It is that weight. It also means if you want to travel with it, it does bring some heft with it. You can get like a carrying bag for it that helps pad it, but if you're going to go traveling with it, it is a little bit on the heavy side. There are lighter, more travel-friendly solutions out there, like the Move Shoot Move Rotator. Overall, I think it's a great product. It's super, super easy to use. Once you just plug the things into the correctly labeled ports, and all the ports are co-labeled. Like there's a port that says camera, that's where the camera goes. There's one port here that says extra, that goes into the extra port of the star tracker. And there's one called like HDMI, and there's shutter release ports and all kinds of other things. But you just plug the cables into the labeled ports and you're good to go. I've never had connections issue with it. I would say like check their compatibility list if your camera is compatible with it. But they have a quite wide range, and all the cameras I have is compatible with it, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. And it's so easy to use. Like, connect the app and you're good to go. And this means it's a great way to get, if you are doing this, it's a great way to get into nightscapes. Not only is it easy to use, it's easy for even beginners to get used to. The only addition that's really nice to have with this is the Cosmic Field Guide. Now, this is the book that I've written. I'm selling this over on deepspacebooks.com, and this is the book you need to have with you if you're out in the dark and doing astrophotography. There's all kinds of handful little tips. There are challenges in here. You can see different charts for when it is dark. There are lists that you could fill out with your camera specs so you know exactly how long exposures you can take. If you're not using a tracker, there are like NPF rule tables in here so you can see how long you can expose with your camera before you see star trails. Obviously you won't need that if you have a tracker like this, but there's loads and loads of useful stuff. Please go at least check it out over on deepspacebooks.com. There will be a link in the description. This is a Meade LXD75. All the little motors here have been replaced with upgraded motors.
Then it sits mounted on the motor, and this is an Ioptron sky tracker. And the Ioptron comes